In this section, we're going to be mostly looking at permanent storage and ways that we can use that to make our apps much more powerful. We're going to start by looking at the simplest way to store data permanently, and that is using shared preferences. So we'll start a new project. I'll call it Shared Preferences Demo, and all our usual settings. So shared preferences is essentially a way to store a small amount of data in your app. It's not designed for very large scale storage. We'll see how to deal with that later on using SQL. But you can store arrays and variables within it easily, and they're stored permanently. And more importantly, we can do it in just a couple of lines. So it's a great way to store just a small amount of information. So for example, your username, or indeed preferences, which is really what it's designed for. So if you've got some custom settings that the user can update, you might save those here. So as I say, we can do it in just a couple of lines, and we do it by creating a shared preferences variable. So I'll call it shared preferences. And to initialize it, we use the app context. So this dot get shared preferences. And then we have to specify the app package name. So I'm going to copy and paste my app package name from here. Obviously yours will probably be different, so don't use exactly the same one. And then once we've specified that, we need to specify the mode that we want to use. And the usual one to use is mode private. So you can see you've got a few options there. Mode private allows only your app to access this data. And generally that's the case, unless you're doing something special and you want to share your preferences with other apps. But that's the default and the most often used case. So now we've kind of set up shared preferences. If we want to save something to shared preferences, we use shared preferences.edit and then put. And then as you can see, we've got to specify the type of variable that we're going to put in there. So we've got various different types, or a string set. So essentially an array of items that we can save there. So I'm going to put a string, and I'm going to call the string username, and my username will be Rob. And then you need to actually apply that. So that will then save the variable username with a value of Rob permanently in the app. Once you've done that, how do you get it back? Well, let's say we want to create a string called username and set it equal to whatever the username is in the app. Well, we just use shared preferences dot get, and then you can actually get them all if you want, but otherwise if you just want one of them, you specify it as the particular type. So in this case, get string, and the string we want to get is username. And then, like we saw before, we need to specify a default value. So I'm just going to use an empty string for the default value. And then finally, for now, we'll just log username to check that that has indeed worked. And that's it. That's all you need to do to save any kind of variable into shared preferences and then get it back. So let's just run this quickly on the emulator and have a look in the logs. Let's change to info. I think I just saw it there, but we'll do a search for username. There it is. Fantastic. Just to prove to you that that has indeed saved permanently, I'm going to comment out the line that puts it there, and then we'll run the app again and we should get exactly the same output, which might not seem amazing, but it has proved that we've saved something permanently. There we go. So we're going to use that in more advanced ways later on, mostly to save an array of data. But right there, you've got all the power that you need to save data permanently. That was easy. We're going to use this in a couple of videos' time in a notes app. And to do that, one of the things I want to customize is this action bar at the top here. We've played around a little bit with it, introducing the back button, but I'm going to introduce an icon here, which just saves us from having to put an intrusive icon in the main body of the app. So we'll see how to customize the action bar in the next video.